It was 2007, and a group of motivated paleontologists were on the verge of making a huge find in the hot African sun. They found a set of huge bones that belonged to a creature that lived on Earth millions of years ago, deep in the rough terrain of the Rukwa Rift Basin in southwestern Tanzania. This is an area that is full of wonder and untold stories. At first, it looked like just another find, but when the dust cleared and the bones were seen, the team knew they had found something very special. Rukwatitan Bisepultus is a new species that came to light after years of careful digging and study. Come with us as we learn more about the Rukwatitan Bisepultus dinosaur, whose presence makes us question everything we thought we knew about the big African animals of the past. Find out how this amazing animal managed to stay alive despite all chances, what made it unique from other dinosaurs of its time, and why its story is so important to the study of dinosaurs. This is a trip into a lost part of Earth's history, from its strange body to its mysterious disappearance. Why should you choose to stay with us? This isn't just another story about dinosaurs. It's a trip back in time, a chance to see the wonders of a world that has been lost to time, and a chance to bring a long-forgotten giant back to life. Working slowly and carefully in the hot sun, the paleontologists carefully took the bones out of their rocky grave. They were aware that they were dealing with something unique. Not only were the bones big, but they also had marks that made them different from other dinosaur bones found in the area. The name of the new species, Rukwatitan Bisepultus, comes from the name of the Rukwa Rift Basin and the word Titan, which refers to how big it is. The name Bisepultus means twice buried, which shows how hard it was to dig up the bones because they were buried in thick soil that had been there for millions of years. Scientists began putting together pieces of this strange creature's life after years of careful study. As a member of the Titanosaur family, Rukwatitan ate plants and had a long neck. These dinosaurs lived during the Cretaceous period. Rukwatitan lived in an environment that was very different from that of its famous relatives in South America, like Dinosaurs. Its environment was shaped by tectonic changes, volcanic activity, and changing climates. Rukwatitan was a real giant. Its body was made to hold a lot of weight, and its long neck let it reach the highest branches of trees. It stood on 4 legs that looked like columns. Each one could hold tons of weight. It had strong, tall vertebrae that were meant to hold up its huge body, and its long tail helped it stay balanced as it moved. Like many sauropods, its bones were filled with air pockets that made them lighter and better at supporting its huge body. Rukwatitan was different, though, because its vertebrae were shaped in a way that no other animal had. These bones' strong muscles and tendons were likely held up by their tall neural spines. This part of Rukwatitan's body would have made it surprisingly easy for it to move its neck, which would have let it reach plants that other animals couldn't. In a world where getting enough food was important for life, this change gave Rukwatitan a big advantage. It wasn't easy to live in the Rukwa Rift Basin. The area had dense forests, floodplains, and river valleys. The landscape was always changing because of tectonic action. The way Rukwatitan lived was affected by these conditions in every way. To find enough food to keep its huge size going, it would have had to go through thick vegetation and cross rivers. Rukwatitan's long neck lets it feed on leaves from tall trees, while other herbivores may have mostly eaten low-lying plants. Because it could eat from different levels of the forest, it could get food that shorter animals couldn't reach as easily. It most likely used its neck to quickly remove all the leaves from the trees it was on. This way of feeding it made it do well in a place where food and water were limited. Rukwatitan lived in the same area as many other animals, such as smaller herbivores, hunters, and early mammals. As an adult, it didn't have many natural enemies because it was so big, but as a youngster, it would have been easy prey for large predators that lived in the area. To stay alive, young Rukwatitans probably stayed close to the group and relied on the adults to keep them safe. As Rukwatitan got bigger, its size became its best defense. Few dangerous animals would be brave enough to attack such a huge animal. Because it ate a lot of plants, it would have changed the environment around it. Because it ate so much, it would have opened up the forest, giving smaller animals new paths and changing how plants grew. In this way, Rukwatitan wasn't just a passive part of its surroundings. It was an important species that kept the ecosystem healthy and in balance. Other titanosaurs, like Malosaurus, which lived in the same area as Rukwatitan, had some traits that made it different. Its neck vertebrae were longer, which meant it might be able to reach higher plants. Its limb bones were stronger, which suggests that it lived in rough places and moved through them, maybe going over rocks or rivers more often than its cousins. These differences show how dinosaurs who lived in separate areas developed unique traits to survive in their settings. Malosaurus might have done better in plains with more space, but Rukwatitan seemed to do better in dense woods, where it was more important to be able to bend and reach than to be fast or agile. Even though Rukwatitan had many benefits, it also had many problems. In the Rukwa Rift Basin, the dense woods were full of problems, like downed trees, steep hills, and muddy riverbanks. Rukwatitan had to change to stay alive. It got through these tough spots with the help of its long, strong legs, and its neck let it reach more food sources. Unlike some other sauropods, its teeth were pretty simple and shaped like pegs. They were made to remove leaves from plants rather than eat tough ones. This means that Rukwatitan may have picked which plants to eat, picking softer, easier to digest leaves over harder, more fibrous ones. This could have helped it save energy, which is important for an animal its size that lives in a place where food isn't always available. Even though we know a lot about Rukwatitan now, there are still a lot of questions. In what ways did it act? Did it move around in search of food during certain times of the year, or did it stay in a smaller area? What part did it play in how its group was organized? With each new fossil find, we get closer to having answers, but the rocks of the Rukwa Rift Basin still hold a lot of the story. As the bones are studied more, scientists hope to learn more about this strange giant. Every new piece of evidence, like a tooth, a bone, or an eggshell, could change how we think about how the Rukwatitan lived and interacted with its surroundings. The name Rukwatitan Bisepultus isn't very well known yet, but it's an important piece of the puzzle for figuring out the variety of dinosaurs that lived in Africa. Its discovery has led to new lines of study and brought to light the unique ways that dinosaurs evolved in harsh environments. We learn more about the complex web of life that existed millions of years ago as we continue to find out more about Rukwatitan. For now, Rukwatitan is a symbol of the stories that are still hidden below the Earth's surface, ready to be found by the next generation of explorers. If you're fascinated by the world of dinosaurs and want to hear more stories like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel, leave a comment on what you'd like to learn about next, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos.